Part 4. The whole world has been devastated. Post-apocalypse. All because of a grim reaper, an alien from another planet, and 3 humans, the Devastators, who brought death and destruction everywhere. But amidst all the chaos, all the political fighting, all the different groups of hate, groups of whatever, criminals, boxers, wrestlers alike, a freedom fighter, a Japanese boy genius, a witch doctor, formerly a musician, a massive giant, and some kind of zombie who has lost his voice. Together, these 5 and other 5 will form together, will work together to fix the Earth, to save it from total alien destruction. What this is now, we're going back to the translation of Walu language to English. This is the middle of the book. I'll just go over these. So one column is going to be in the symbols of the Walu, Zetrolok, the killer from another planet, its language, and then the pronunciation, then English. So here's the first columns. Here are the symbols. This is Trak, transfer of energy, Sta, soul, light, energy, Adra, which is alert. What is that? Je, which is no or negative, Grai, to peer, to spy, Ach, Dim, which means a lie or counterfeit. Insect on the Walu, similar to the ladybug, but the size of a rat. These are like the insect, the motorized ladybugs from the previous pages. Yush means to return. Mulmblun, which means unsure, don't know. Zunik, which means wait. Paja, which means over there. Which means what? I think I mistyped that for some reason. E, which is a mimetic letter of the Walu alphabet. Alphabet used to describe shock, surprise. E vusi, which means amazing, shocking. Doz, which means an intelligent being, young or old. Qmich, which is infant or child. Pa is equals. Kiyu, which is yes, correct, or agree. I used another symbol because the symbol I was trying to use before wasn't on the newest Microsoft Word. Mudmplu, which means to breed or grow life. Waula, which means individual living person of Walu. Walu, Olo, which means planet Walu or a planet. Yich, which means immature, stupid person. Uma, which means it's Walunglish, which is like my version of Spanglish or Japanglish. It's a custom-made word to describe an Earth female. So you can see the 2 females symbol there. It might be for lesbianism, but whatever. I'm trying to make what I have, make do with wingdings and webdings and all such. Chukka, which means you. Du, which means where. Guvda, which means order, law, or purpose. Blok, which means happens, occurs, something begins. Kru, when. Ramdown, which means to surrender. Kiki, which means the Semitic sound of laughter. Shush, future. Bra, way, path, method, or plan. Okay, linguistics time is over. So this is the 3 out of 4 flashbacks. Now we're going back 18 years ago to when Rosemarie was 4 and Jerry was 3. Now you're going back to the time when they were still little toddlers. They were learning how to read, how to write, how to walk, how to talk. Well, they know how to walk and they know how to speak, but they're still learning. They're playing with their blocks. They're going to nursery school, preschool, not yet kindergarten. So Rosemarie is playing with her friend Olivia. Before Rosemarie, her skin color changed and her eyes turned pink. Before the devastation, she ran a business. This is her best friend Olivia and some of the other girls from her store, which is a children's haircut salon called Sunny's. Here's another picture. There's Rosemarie. I think this is Shannon Choi. I forget her name. Marion. I think this is Elsa, this is Marion, and this is her best friend, Olivia. Olivia Daniels, I think. So this is a previous incarnation of Rosemarie, a Mars colony of such, 2014. But this is Sunny's Salon. She's the owner, and these 4 are her employees, even though this is her best friend. So anyway, this is them. This is Rosemarie and Olivia when they were little girls. About the same age. Maybe Olivia is about a year older or a year younger, 3 years old. I don't know. So Jerry tries to take a piss on their sandcastle. I think they're building Noah's Ark. So they're being nice and cordial, and then Jerry's just trying to be a fuckhead. So te dare en rostro. I'll give you a pop in the teeth. Te dare en rostro. I think I wrote it right. I don't speak much Spanish, even though I am Mexican and I live in the Mexican ghetto. So Olivia says, go play by yourself or with yourself. So Rose and Olivia are having a laugh at his expense. Do 3-year-olds know sex jokes? Well, kids, I think I noticed that when kids are 2 or 3 years old, they tend to mimic what the parents do or what the guardian does without understanding. So if you have a 2 or 3-year-old, you'll notice that they like to do what daddy does and do what mommy does, but they're not completely sure why they're mimicking the parents. So it could be that Rosemarie and Olivia just copy what the big girls do or the adults do. So that's all I could say. I don't have kids myself, so I'm not going to pretend to know. So Jerry takes a piss on the sandcastle, and the policeman's coming. And the policeman, well, what they do is Olivia punches Jerry in the stomach. Then she punches him in the balls. So Olivia's retaliating. It's Rosemary and Olivia against Jerry. And so Jerry's outnumbered, and he's getting kicked in the dick, kicked in the balls, and the policeman stops them from what they're doing. And we go back to the present time. So Gino and Rosemary are having a conversation. They're trying to figure out what to do. So there's 10 of them, actually. There's Gino, Rosemary, Drake, Jorge, and Rye, one group. And then you have Roth McGoth. You have Francisco, the Mexican Avenger with his talking cat. You have Rascal Brown from the Skullbashers, and Frankenstein from the other group, the Roman Bus. So as before in the last chapter, they've come together. They put aside their differences and say, we're going to work together. We're going to fuck this bullshit. We're going to stop fighting each other and try to do the right things. So what Gino and Rosemary are going to do is they're going to team up with Drake and Jorge and Rye. So you have a doctor, a freedom fighter, a guy who can't die, a big, giant, heavy set wrestler type of person, a bodyguard, and then a scientist. So these 5 can come together and do some good deeds. So Rosemary leaves Roth McGoth as in charge. Roth's the man of the house. And the igloo is all they have. So they have to make sure that Roth McGoth, Rascal Brown, Francisco, the Talking Cat, Valiant, and Frankenstein watch that igloo. And Rosemary wishes there were lottery tickets in there, maybe $1 billion. But the igloo has to be kept secret, away from the alien robots, away from Zetro Ray, and away from anybody else, the circus freaks. So the Outcasters, Drake, Rye, Gino, Jorge, and Rosemary, they go into the Scrapzilla, that giant, that crude sort of Tonka truck with chain link fence body frame and the fiery dragon head. It goes off to parts unknown. It goes to the White Towns, Pasadena, Hollywood, Burbank, Agoura Hills, Beverly Hills. They see so many Zetrobots, destroying homes, destroying life. There's just nothing left, really. Humanity's at war with itself. They go upon a private neighborhood for all the George Clooney and Matt Damon type people, McMansions, enclosed neighborhoods that overlook the city skyline. Like if it's Danny Trejo versus a typical Latino, a typical Chavala in East LA. It's like, we're going to go to the nicer parts of town. So Rosemary and Jorge, they go out and fight some alien Wooloo zombies. So the half human, half alien hybrids, they're going to go and fight them outside So what they've come upon a McMansion that has these Wooloo zombie alien human squatters. And so the Outcasters fight them. This is Yamenasai. This is stop. Stop what you're doing, Yamenasai. So there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of fighting. So I wanted to give the Outcasters, my original characters from the year 2000, a chance to regroup and do some things together in 2019, or actually it was 2017 when I wrote this. So they fight some zombies, and then an old lady comes out of the McMansion. So she's concerned, and so they walk up to her and introduce themselves. So, you know, she's having a difficult time. Her husband's gone, I think. She can't find her sons, her adult sons. So they're having some hard times. Um, Drake and Jorge hang around outside in the front yard or side of the yard and eat rocks. So Jorge chomps on a piece of broken asphalt. Drake eats a chalk rock and coughing up dust. So they're just eating rocks outside for whatever reason. And while they're doing that, so some time passes. Uh, Gino's a doctor, so he's looking over Mrs. Helgenberger. That's the name of the old lady that lives in the house. And checks her eyes, mouth, lungs, heart. And Drake and Rye play with the TV. Drake says, "There's nothing on." So Rye says, "Dame, darebida." So give me the television. Uh, I think it's Genki na hitobito ga iru kara. Because there's no healthy people, uh, I don't think it can work. So obviously, we take for granted our telephones and our TVs. So our phone works because one of the reasons it works, or as far as internet works, is because there's satellites and there's towers and there's people maintaining websites, maintaining Verizon, maintaining AT&T, maintaining T-Mobile and such and Sprint to make sure that we always have internet running on our phones. And television stations are run by people and they run the television shows and the TV. So without that, you're just watching tapes. You're just playing with your camera. That's it. No social media, no television broadcasts, no radio shows, nothing. So Rye just points this out. And Drake's like, "To hell with TV then. Can kill time another way." So Drake, he takes his hand and he drills a hole in his hand. And then he says, "Hotter than a Christmas tree." So he's like, "Hey." So they're just fucking around. Um, the Outcasters, Drake, Rye, and, they're just fucking around. And Rosemary has to be like the Mo of the Three Stooges and kind of correct them. So Mrs. Helgenberger talks about the hard time she has with her family. She has type 2 diabetes. It's like, they bought the house that they have with their blue chip stamps. That's a 70s reference. Their red cents, their silver cents. So it's a little bit of a story, a human story. But what ended up happening was the Wooloo zombies migrated to different parts of the world, different parts of California and other states. And they ended up taking over her house naturally by just squatting in the front yard. So Rosemary and Gino, originally they wanted to take Mrs. Helgenberger to their safe house where the igloo is and the symphony hall. But she wants to die in her house. She doesn't. She and her husband bought that house with their money, and they've had a history. So Rosemary tells Rye to reinforce the house and just make sure the Wooloo zombies, and so basically to reinforce the house the same way the hospital is reinforced, so that they can't get in and the Wooloo zombies can't get in. So it takes about I think a few weeks, almost 3 weeks. So that Rye gets 4 tall pillars made from old car parts and IBM compatible computers, security systems, everything. Drake and Jorge are just like jumping off the roof and if you have the nail gun, I want to try it on my heart. So Drake can't die, so he wants to play with the nail gun and shoot himself in the heart with it. And Jorge's jumping off the roof and Drake is jumping off the roof of it's a 2-story home. So they're playing death and stuff. So they're just fucking around. So at the end of this, they say goodbye to Mrs. Helgenberger, and Drake, Rosemary, Gino, Ryan, Jorge, they're thinking about taking this is Tensha. I think it's Densha something like that. Densha. Densha is train. Gairu to omoimasu. I don't forget what this symbol is. This symbol here means something, a multiple of something. But Rye agrees about taking the train. So it's based on a train that's like Santa Fe, the Santa Fe trains, the freight trains that would pass through Commerce. And there was a Commerce train station a long time ago in the 1940s and 50s, but it's derelict now. It's still there, but it doesn't work. So they take the train, though, in the post-apocalypse to go to different cities and help other people. So that's what they want to do. The Outcasters, Rosemarie wants to help with as many people as possible. Since Drake is kind of immortal, Gino's a doctor, she's a freedom fighter, she'll fight aliens. Rye is a scientist and he's the bodyguard. They can go and help more people in more cities. They can get some people and add them to the symphony and concert hall in the Igloo. So it's a rescue mission. Whereas Rosemarie, in her first couple of years, or the first few months after the devastation, was selfish, she has become selfless. Seeing this group come together, seeing other groups come together, has given her a bit of, it's sort of like Jyn Erso in Rogue One, but a little more believable. So they take the Santa Fe train about an hour later through the City of Commerce, looking for Wooloo zombies, being careful of the giant Zetrobots. She is wondering about the real problem. Zetro Ray, which is now a giant orb, that the one that devastated the city and destroyed buildings and people. She's got to figure out what to do. How do you defeat this machine that will not die, that will not relinquish his power back to humanity? And that's what she wants. She would like to work together with this creature, but this creature has committed too much genocide for that to happen. As they pass the train going towards, I would say west of Los Angeles, Rosemarie sees somebody, a young boy with gray complexion and red eyes, almost similar to her complexion. She demands Rye to stop the train so she can chase him. Yeah, so this is Kaleido. Kaleido speaks in sort of double entendre sentences. So these are two sentences. Do not go home. It kind of sounds like do not go home. Leave all you're doing. It could mean leave, which is one sentence, and all you're doing, leave all you're doing. So it could be two different sentences. This is an unfinished sentence. All you're doing is something else. So when he speaks, then again, what about? So he can speak in these sentences that have double meanings because Kaleido is not one thing or another. Their complexions are very similar. Kaleido's like probably, I think he's 13 years old or so. He's in his early teens and she's a bit older, but they have these similar complexions in their face. They get into a serious fight, but Rye ends up ending the fight. Here are some more of his sentences. Not giving up, my choices to be. So you could read it as one sentence. Not giving up my choices to be, or not giving up my choices to be, ... Break my arm, that is the only way to. So I wrote these weird sentences the way it is so that you could misread it as one instead of two. So Rosemarie he's got Kaleido in a pin. She's pinned him down. She's doing his best to what is it? My right arm with his head in a lock and my left arm pulling his arm to back lock. So she doesn't have a lot of upper body strength, but she's trying. I mean, the only way it's believable is that this is a young boy and she's about the same size as he is, because it's hard for women to have an upper body strength to just, So, whoosh, there's like this vibrating sound. So it's Rye has a portable helicopter, right? His portable helicopter. And then he has this vibrating, some sort of vibrating gun, like a vibration sound. So Rye is always equipped. He always has some sort of plot device gadget ready when the story needs it. But Rye ends the fight. And he sits on the sidelines while Rosemarie talks to Kaleido. Kaleido came from an abusive household. He ran to join the circus. It's based on a book I read where this kid was an albino and he had not a great time with his family. So he left to join the circus of weird people. And I forgot, I think it's Iain Lawrence, Iain Lawrence. And I forgot what the name of the book was called. I think it was called not Circus Boy, but something like Circus Boy. And so Kaleido joined the circus when he was a little kid, but after the devastation, he had hidden out on a college or university campus. So he explains here My life was full of abuse, the system, and bad things happened. To me, all life is a joke. So my life full of abuse the system, and bad things happen to me. Bad things happen to me all of life. So it's a double meaning. Dead things happen. Dead things happen. Naturally, I love to be on my own before the devastation. The devastation made no difference. So it's four sentences, but I made it seem like one sentence because he has double talk. And then, let's see. So he's upset about his family. And he says, I know you, I don't know you. So now he's speaking in another context. Now he's speaking like he knows them. You are Rosemarie, one of the outcasts, always wearing two pigtails, a purple tank top, leather pants, and boots. You're one of 5 people who lived in a house in the year 2000. Drake, Raphael, or is that Rye? Gino and Jorge, or is that George? So Kaleido can see it. He can see the alternate universes. These are all this that you're seeing is art based on these 5 characters that I created before the Devastators, before Jerry, all that stuff, in the real world. This is from 2001. This is a story from 2001, early to mid 2001, maybe 2002. Not sure about that, but I think 2001 and 2002. This is definitely from 2001. This is Raphael that I start based on somebody I knew in school. This is another reality. So this character can see all the realities of different universes for some reason. And he knows that they exist. And he knows that they're there. A previous character did this, an old man, but I decided to make a Kaleido, but for one exception. And that story I'll tell someday. But comic books, punk rocker, think of him as this heavy metal type of guy with gray skin. That's sort of the inspiration. I always wanted him to be this emo, angry kid that got fucked over, but he's not evil. He's just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with his life. But meanwhile, he sees these other universes and he talks in double talk, in weird bumper sticker riddle talk. In one reality, you were Super Rangers cleaning up the city where there were no police. In another world, you 5 are evil. Dire vampires help in on world domination. Another you 5 are representatives. The Council of East Los Angeles, where you beat the circus freaks to election. In the 1940s, you were Rosemary and Jade. Fair Lady Manor was in the 19th century. You and Violet lived under the same roof with many interesting girls. Then there was Holiday Earth. Now, Rosemary says, where Violet and I were sexy helper elves, and one of us was to be elected to Santa Claus by Jorge as Santa. And she says, I remember. No. Violet, how do you... No. So Rosemarie remembers everything that Kaleido told her. So when he speaks to her about other universes, for some reason, she remembers along with him, as though she's lived these lives herself. So Kaleido is messing with her head, but yet he knows that there's other worlds that exist. So there was going to be a scene where Rosemarie and Kaleido have a sexual encounter because he's never lost his sexuality. He was always, because the idea was that since the world was going to end, that he would have sex one time and one time only before the end of the world. But I couldn't fit it in there. And I think it was more important to just establish just this weird multi-universe that he knew. So I put that before, gotcha moments like, ooh, they're having sex, even though he's a kid and he's not yet a man. She would have done it. She would have given herself to him because, the world's ending. There's no law, no order. If this kid dies, he dies never having that moment in his life that young boys would want when they're 14 years old. Go figure. But anyway, back to the real story that I finished. Karaido-san ni moto something. Oh, that he needs more medicine. Itekimasu. So Rai tells Rosemarie that he's going to give more medicine to Kaleido. So I think it's kusuri, this one here. And so he takes off. She wonders what exactly he's going to do. Silver canisters, he's taking over to Kaleido. So I go against my better judgment and trust his instead. I have better things to do. So Rosemary talks to Roth McGoth, the clown, the little clown. She's going to go take some flowers to go. Oh, Roth brings her flowers to take to her sister Violet at the cemetery. And he says, when I went to Holly Willoughby, I think of you. So Holly Willoughby's a talk show host, like morning talk shows, but in the UK. So tomorrow we go to the cemetery. We review one more flashback, and before we do the final battle in which people die, some people live, and the future goes on.